This is Bonsai Anonymous. Very quietly in the dark. We're going to talk more about scat syllables. I talked the other day about listening, and I decided I should go back and listen to myself and see what syllables I use, because I'm not really aware of it. I don't think about it. And I did find a couple of them. For instance, if I go up to a high note, boo-ba-doo-ba-bee, wee-wee-wee-wee, that kind of thing. I do that. And that's a little stupid sounding. But I also do other imitations of jazz articulations, like a shake. That's an easy one to do. A fall. Bow. But I don't like that one vocally. It's used way too much, so I don't do that one. More or less, I just use the syllables that come to my mind without thinking. So my tongue is articulating a lot of them, and my lips. Boo, boo, ba, boo, ba, boo, ba, boo. That's boo. Da do, da do, da do, and that's do. And I don't know what else. Do, do, ba, boo, da do, ba, do, ba, boo, ba, boo, do, ba, do, ba, do, ba, ba, ba. That to me, sounds like something I've heard a lot of singers do when they improvise. Ella did that little lick a lot, and so I figure it's valid. But I still go with the point that jazz scat singers initially imitated instrumentalists, and the instrumentalists initially, I think, maybe imitated blues singers. I'm not sure. But once we get into the 30s and the 40s, scat singers are singing instrumentally. When I was in college, I really didn't think of myself as a singer, or certainly not a vocal jazz ensemble possibility, but I was a jazz player of some, I had a little bit of ability there, but the director of the vocal jazz choir grabbed me in the hall one day and said, come in here. And I said, okay. He says, I'm going to play notes, you match them. And I was able to match the pitches. And he said, okay, now you're in vocal jazz 1. And then vocal jazz 1 was the top vocal jazz choir. And it was a pretty good one. We won some downbeat awards and blah, blah, blah. But I guess the point I'm making is that Gene was interested in having a lot of instrumentalists in there. Instrumentalists usually have listened to more jazz and probably played more. And they have a concept of what they want to do. They have a concept of what they want to do. They may not be great singers, but a lot of the qualities which make classical singers cringe are the same ones that jazz singers embrace. Okay, and I'm not going to go any farther on that. That's why we're in the dark here, because we're treading on toes. The toes we're treading on are the vocal teachers, not the vocal jazz teachers, but the vocal teachers. And oftentimes you kind of have to go around them. I've had that happen several times in my life, where I wanted to do something with a vocal jazz group, and the voice teachers were actively discouraging it and telling their students they couldn't do it. And the only reason I know that's true is because the students came and told me. And that's good enough for that. We'll keep that in the dark. This whole idea that we have to somehow keep voice majors from singing any jazz or pop music. It goes so far that some voice teachers, we're talking about college now, we're not talking about privately or high school or anything like that, but college, where there's the voice teachers have some pull and have some say about what's going to happen. And they're able to do some really, I would say, inappropriate, not in the way that we think of that term today, but things that I don't think are appropriate for a teacher, a lesson teacher in a college. To say that you can't do this, you can't play, you can't go and do a gig, you can't sing at karaoke, you can't. I want to be in the vocal jazz choir. You can't. You're not ready. And some of them didn't get ready until after they graduated, and not even then. Okay, so that all started out with a talk about scat syllables and ended up with a rant about voice teaching in universities for the most part. It's a enlightened college voice teacher who says, there's I don't really know that much about this, but it's something that I think the students really are interested in, and we ought to investigate it a little bit, or a lot. But investigating things that we're not familiar with is a tough thing for a lot of people to do. I don't care to do it that much myself either. But I'm investigating how to make videos in the dark, and not just mentally in the dark, but actually in the dark. Okay, well, that's 6 minutes of blather. Bonsai Anonymous out.